Hey guys, welcome in Stinkin Truth Podcast. Mark Schlereth alongside Mike Evans. Mike, I'm about ready to leave New York, get on a bird, boom, right to Arizona. Fox accidentally gave me the best game of the weekend, which is just incredible, right?
Yeah.
They had no idea before this. They thought, oh, it was a crappy game. We'll give them Detroit at least is good. And now I get a call, Detroit at Arizona. Going to be a phenomenal game. I'm so dialed in. I watched all the film, and man, I got to tell you, I'm so excited. Hey, it's good to see you, Mike. How are you, buddy?
Good to see you. Yeah, I'm really happy for you that you get to call this game. Although, if you get on your plane later today and you happen to see Greg Olsen sitting in first class, you might want to ask what's up.
Yeah, it's funny because I was going to Arizona this a couple of years ago, and I was going to Arizona to do a game, and it was Arizona. It's when Cliff Kingsbury was there, and Arizona was like, I think they might have been undefeated. They were really playing pretty well, and it was probably week 5 or 6, and Seattle was also like playing really well, and I remember I did all the work, man. I had all the prep and all the film study, and I'm on the plane, like I'm literally on the plane, and all of a sudden my phone starts ringing, and it's Jacob Ullman, who's kind of my boss, right? So I go, oh, hey, Jake, what's up? He goes, are you on? Where are you? And I go, I'm sitting on the plane. He goes, can you get off? And I was like, yeah. He goes, grab your bags, get off now. Call me when you're off. So I'm like, I get my bags. I'm like, people are looking at me like, does this guy know something we don't know? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, this is like Final Destination type stuff right here. Yeah.
So I get my bags. I roll off the plane. I call him, and he goes, at that time, it was Sunday Night Football took our game. And I think it was the one where Metcalf chased down Buda Baker on the interception. So it was like NBC Sunday Night Football took our game. We don't longer have it. You're going to do Raiders. I don't know. I think it was Raiders, Minnesota. So all of a sudden I'm on the flight to Vegas, and having done all the work, all the prep work already, it has to start over Thursday night. But anyhow, so I'm a little bit nervous. I'm going to get on this flight, and Olsen's going to be sitting there going, dude, what's up? What are you doing? Why are you going to my game, man?
I can see it. That's right. That's good.
I will tell you, though, Mike, not that, I'm hijacking the show, because I know you have a plan, and I don't know what your plan is.
Don't worry. Don't worry. We're good. We're good.
I've done all the work, and let me just tell you.
Yeah.
And I'm serious, the sisters were kinder to Andy Dufresne than Arizona was to the Rams last week. I mean, it was, you want to talk about good old fashioned, that's exactly what went down. They kicked that ass. Kyler Murray was unfreaking believable. So I put this whole thing on Breakfast Ball, on the FS1 show that I do every day. So I put this highlight of Kyler Murray. He drops back. He gets pressure, scrambles away from the pressure, gets pressure on the upfield shoulder, scrambles back into the pocket, scrambles outside, and he's running sideways, and he just goes, boom, throws the ball. There's a tight end crossing on the back end line. And as soon as he throws the ball, he went Steph Curry. He turned around like this and went number 1. And, it was a touchdown. He already knew it. It was absolutely phenomenal. It was such a cool play. But more than that, there was a moment where you had he was making throws, Mike, where you're like, no, you can't throw. You can't throw. Oh, wow, what a throw. Into double coverage. Just into milk cartons, hey, this kid's missing. Milk carton, bam, perfect throw. He was incredible in that game. Absolutely incredible in that game. And there was a moment, which was really cool, where I watched him all of a sudden go, Marvin Harrison Jr. is my guy.
Right.
Now, he had 4 catches. I think they were all in the first quarter. 4 catches, 131 yards, 2 TDs. But there was a throw, and it was a 3-by-1 formation. So you had 3 guys to the wide side of the field, right? And you had Marvin Harrison as the X one-on-one or out there. And he's got, clearly it's going to be double covered. They're going to run a cover 2, right? Or they're going to run what they call cover 6, which is cover 2 on that side of the field and quarters on the other side of the field. So cover 2 plus cover 4 equals cover 6.
6.
Yeah. So they've got to cover 2 clearly. The corner jams him up on line of scrimmage, lets him go, sinks, right? And the safety's over the top. And Kyler Murray said, screw it. I'm throwing it to him regardless. It's double covered. Whoop, little, and perfect. And it was just like, that's when all of a sudden it became, he's my guy. And this is a critical situation. And he's getting the ball regardless if I've got, I've got ratios on the other side, like a favorable ratio on the other side. I don't care. He's my guy over there, and I'm throwing it to him. It was amazing.
So you've done Kyler Murray games before, and we've always known he's had the talent. But what have you seen looking at the film? What's clicked for Kyler Murray? What's different?
Yeah, well, one, James Conner. Like, James Conner is not a guy that's going to win a 40. Like, if you lined him up with 15 backs, like, if you lined him up with every starting back in the NFC, okay, 15 other backs, and you said, we're going to run 40s. James Conner is probably running the slowest 40 of any of the 15 backs. But unbelievable vision, Mike. And understanding, like, it's so important to know your strengths and weaknesses. Like, understanding he's not getting to the edge. He's not outrunning anybody. So his ability, like, I watched him run counter. They ran a bunch of gap scheme stuff, so counter. And they're using a tight end. So a pulling guard and a tight end. I watched him press, hit the front side B gap. Press, hit the front side A gap. Press, hit the backside A gap on counter. And normally you think of counter as you're attacking the C gap. And it wasn't until the very end of the game when they started overplaying the cutbacks, he hit the C gap and busted one for another 15, 20 yards. Like, he is a phenomenal runner. So it was everything, man. It was the way they ran the ball, the way they controlled the line of scrimmage, the way they set up their play action stuff. I think the difference is, since he came back from his ACL, this is the second year now. He had about 8-10 games last year, whatever he played. This is his second year in the same system under Drew Pensing, who runs a, Mike Shanahan West Coast type of offense. This is his second year in that. Yeah. And he's trusting the system when he has to, or trusting the system and only relying on his supreme athleticism to escape when he has to. Like, he's playing the way, like, I always tell you about the 70-30 rule. Like, Kyler played the 50-50 too much. 50% on schedule, 50% off schedule. He is adhering to kind of that 70-30, 80-20, where I'm going to be on schedule as much as I can. The only time I'm going to run is when I have to, not because I can. Like, he can, but I have to run only when I have to. When I'm forced to do it, that's when I'll do it, not because I can and I'm that athletic. Right. And I think that's the big difference with Kyler Murray. This is going to be a great, and I mean a great game.
Yeah, because, and the other half of this matchup that you're going to be calling on Fox is Detroit, who is coming off a loss at home to Tampa. They're 1-1, and now going on the road for what you've just laid out is going to be a tough test. And I think we're going to learn a lot about Detroit, aren't we, early on, as to how they handle being a front runner.
Yeah.
These are no longer the lovable Lions that are everybody's, favorite punching bag. This is a team with high expectations. How do they live up to them on the road? Tough environment, tough game, coming off a loss.
Yeah. Hey, listen, man, I think that loss last week, and if you remember, they lost week 2 to they opened up week 1. They beat Kansas City in Kansas City. Then they lost to Seattle in a shootout. And I think that's one of those things where they'll look back on that game. They were in Tampa Bay's territory. They played 55 snaps from inside the 50. 55. The average game is 65 snaps. They played 85 snaps of offense. Well, why do you play 85 snaps? One, because you're controlling it. But the only way you play 85 snaps is because you're not running the ball. And it's not because they couldn't run the ball. It's because they chose not to run the ball. In the first 20 plays, they ran it, I think, 2 times. And Mike, I got to tell you, like I wrote down in my notes, things that would make me fight. I called my producer. I go, hey, do me a favor, make me a graphic.
Yeah,
and he goes, yeah, what's the graphic? I go, things that will make me fight. And he goes, what am I supposed to do? I go, like, if we got into a game plan, and Gary Kubiak was my offensive coordinator, and if we didn't have we'd have our first 15, right?
Yep.
So every week we do a walkthrough on Saturday morning, first 15. Here are the first 15 plays of the game if we're all on schedule, right? If we didn't have a good solid run play in the first 15, in the first 3 of the first 15, we're going to fight. Like I turn around and go, what the fuck are we doing? If we were 3 passes in a row, you got to let me come off the ball. You got to establish the run game. You got to let me establish the run so I can up kick a 5-step drop. What the fuck are we doing, Gary? That was like, and then if we had like 2 7-step drops in the first 50, like, what the fuck? What are we doing? Why 7-step drops? Come on. And I'm dead serious. I would let him know in the walkthrough how unhappy I was about the first 15.
I get a feeling you're going to walk into your meeting with Dan Campbell and you're just going to start lecturing him.
Absolutely.
You're going to start. I mean, this is just going to be you going basically, what the bleep were you doing last week?
Yeah, I am 100%. And I know they felt like they had a matchup and they felt like they had this.
Premium
plays. We've had premium. And I'm like, bullshit. You got the most dominant you got one of the most dominant offensive lines in football. And you know what you did? You took the ball out of their hands. And then, I've got evidence. He said, hey, listen, when we got in the fourth quarter, he's like, hey, we really couldn't establish a run. Oh, no shit. You couldn't? Why? Because you chose not to run it for 3 quarters? And then you think that's just something you do? That's a skill, man. It's got to be operated. It got to be worked on. You got to use it. You got to use it. And I was just like, come on, dude. Yeah, exactly. When I get in the room with Dan Campbell, we may fight.
Yeah. Things that make you fight.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell.
I don't know that I want to take Campbell on.
No, maybe not.
Campbell's huge.
Right. That's going to be a great game. So I'm really happy you're getting a chance to call it, unless Greg Olsen is sitting in first class on your plane. Then you may end up with a different game.
You mean when I'm
talking about here during this podcast? So, Stink, I'm going to ask you about Baltimore and Dallas. Okay. And Baltimore facing the chance to go 0-3, the possibility of going 0-3. Dallas with their own pressures. Somebody's season is going to be in a lot of hurt. Whoever loses this game, go as I get new batteries.
Yeah, I think that I've got a story to tell you after that. But so I think that this is a must-win for the Baltimore Ravens. And for Dallas, can they afford to lose? Yes. Is it ideal? No. But like Dallas is the typical bully. When Dallas gets a inferior team in Dallas, they beat up on them. It's like King of the Hill. They're standing on top of the hill and they're shoving little kids with snot noses off the hill. And as soon as some other person or some other team comes in there that has the same kind of strength or size, Dallas rolls over. The New Orleans Saints came in last week and absolutely beat their asses. I mean, they beat them down and Dallas just rolled over. And, Micah Parsons on his podcast addressed the fact that, we didn't play with good enough technique and we didn't play with good enough effort. He said, not everybody just can't be one guy, which I'm assuming he was saying, I was playing with great effort. It's the rest of you guys, the rest of you clowns that aren't playing with great effort. But yeah, for Baltimore, Mike, so in the first game against Kansas City, Lamar Jackson had 6 quarterback designed runs. He had 16 total runs, but 6 designed runs that netted 47 yards, about almost 8 yards a carry. In week 2 against the Raiders, he had 2 read zone runs, which are either hand it based on the defensive end or keep it. But so there may not even really be designed runs, but there are 2, let's call them designed runs for 3 yards. So they went from 6 design runs down to 2 pseudo-designed runs, and they went from 47 yards to 3 yards. And I understand that you're trying to change your offense and you're trying to be more of a drop back that, like, dude, lean into what Lamar is. Lean into what he does well. Lean into that run game. Set up that play action, that one-on-one edge stuff off of that game. But I believe the Baltimore Ravens, what you're going to see, and I remember after the first game, I think Lamar had 16 runs. I think Derrick Henry had 15 runs in their loss to Kansas City. And John Harbaugh came out and said, hey, listen, we're not going to give, Derrick Henry. We didn't bring him here to run it 30 times a game. What? That dude's not from this planet. He is 6'5" or 6'3.5". He is 250 pounds, chiseled from a piece of granite, and can outrun DBs. If you didn't bring him to run the ball 30, what did you bring him to do? Like, what did you bring him to do? Like, he better run the ball 25 times, and Lamar better run it 7 times. And you better lean into what you are and the way you built your football team. And we'll worry about morphing into a passing team when we play somebody crappy and we're up by 30 points. Now let's morph into a passing team. I believe that Baltimore has to get back to who they are, what their identity is, how they've played and how they've won and how they were a number 1 seed last year and how they've been, how Lamar's won 2 MVPs. Get back to doing that and worry about building your passing game at a later date.
Philadelphia and the Saints. New Orleans has been maybe the surprise team of the NFL so far through the first 2 weeks. We'll see what they've got if they can continue that momentum. But Philadelphia, did that performance on Monday night kind of bring back some of the concerns, some of the worries that I'm sure a lot of Eagles fans had about this football team, considering the way they finished last year?
Yeah, well, I mean, your head coach decides to throw it on 3rd down when Atlanta has no timeouts and you have the tush push. And by the way, every 3rd down run you had, I believe, converted to a 1st down. And I know everybody in the building knows you're going to run it, but you run it, you eat up 40 seconds on the clock, you run it again. Even if you don't, even if you decide not to kick a field goal, you give it to Atlanta with 30 seconds left and no timeouts and have to drive 97 yards for a touchdown. Obviously you're going to try at that point to drive it down for a field goal and see if they can tie the game. But the mismanagement of the game, and then Nick Sirianni, after the game, got up to speak, and Jalen Hurts stood up and kind of interrupted him and took it over. And after that, Nick Sirianni just broke it up after the game and said, I got nothing to say. Like, he said it all. What is it that you do here, right? I mean, you what is it you say you do here? Like, from Office Space, we got to go meet with the 2 Bobs. What is it you would say that you do? You don't call plays offensively or defensively. You got Vic Fangio over there on the defensive side of the ball. You've got what's his head from Dallas on the offensive side of the ball, Kellen Moore. Jalen Hurts does the post-game press conference for the post-game meeting with the team. What is it that you do here? And I like Nick Sirianni. I like him just fine. But I think one thing that I always respected from the coaches that I played for is when you screwed something up as a coaching staff, jump on that hand grenade. Jump on it. Dan Campbell, after the game that they lost to Tampa Bay, came out and said, that loss is 100% on me. He goes, I screwed up the end of the half timing with that field goal / I jumped the gun and sent the field goal team out there when Jared Goff was going to clock the ball. I take 100% responsibility for the loss. It's all on the coach. The coach lost him this one. Did you know, as a player, 1, how much you respect your coach for saying that, and 2, how much you look back at your own performance and go, I screwed that up. I had a missed assignment. Like, I missed that block. That could have been the difference. I ran the wrong route. You want to talk about the tale of 2 different, handling the end of a game situation. or handling responsibility. I think Nick Sirianni needs to now, I don't know, maybe behind closed doors, maybe he did. I don't know. But I love it. I love it when a guy comes out publicly. But by the way, it doesn't matter if he did it behind closed doors. I want to hear it publicly. Mm-hmm. As a player, I want to hear my coach jump on the hand grenade and say, man, I screwed that. I cost my guys an opportunity. It's not going to happen again.
You got Atlanta, who just won that impressive game. And I know you were very high on Atlanta going into this season with the idea they could be a potential dark horse NFC championship team. Did that performance against Philly kind of justify how you were feeling? And now with a chance to play Kansas City, I mean, you want to announce your presence to the rest of the NFL? Right. Back-to-back weeks, you can't get a better opportunity if you're the Falcons.
Yeah, back-to-back weeks in prime time. And Kirk Cousins gets one win, and he was brilliant in that last drive. Some of that probably, the Fangio effect of playing prevent defense. But, hey, you take him any way you can get him. And then I think the other thing is I think the way they are built, they're not built to sit back and pass pro 40 times a game. Not pretty much nobody is, but they certainly aren't. But, man, they can come off the rock. And they can come off the rock and get yardage. And there's a great combination with Bijan Robinson, 1, and Tyler Algier, 2. And I think they just need to lean into that as much as possible, take that pressure off of Kirk, as he's still, let's face it, he's still recovering from that Achilles. So I think it's a big thing. I think it's a really big thing. And, I'm telling you, last year I thought they were a QB and a pass rusher away from being really, really good, a QB away from winning 10 or 11 games, and added a pass rusher. And then went out and got Judon, which is a big pickup for them. Grady Jarrett is back healthy. That's a big pickup for them, a big addition because he went out with an ACL last year. And Kirk Cousins definitely made a step. Like all the quarterbacks who were injured last year that didn't play well in week 1. Joe Burrow had the wrist. You saw him on the sideline doing this thing. It was Danny Dimes, who didn't really play well week 1. He played much better week 2. It was Kirk Cousins did play well week 1, played much better week 2. Like all those guys made significant strides. If Kirk Cousins plays better again in week 3, then I think Atlanta becomes, somebody that we talk about.
Hey, a couple of quick quarterback notes here before we get to our moneymaker picks. Did Carolina give up or bench Bryce Young too quickly?
No. I served like LeBron James, hey, young king, keep your head up. Like, it's not your fault. At what point is it his fault? At what point can a guy just not play? And I realized that Carolina wasn't, last year they gave up a lot of sacks and he got hit a lot and they didn't have a lot of weapons. And I get that. But, you've got Dave Canales, who they hired, right? Who's been the last 2 seasons, has been the quarterback whisperer. Right. I mean, he was the quarterback coach at Seattle when Geno Smith went from journeyman to Pro Bowl player and one of the most efficient quarterbacks in football in year 1 under Dave Canales. And then last year he takes over Tampa's offense and whispers Baker Mayfield from 4th team, 1st overall pick bust to, a new $100 million contract. Right. So you got the guy that's done it back-to-back years with 2 different quarterbacks, and he comes in, and after 2 weeks, he says, hey, man, pull the plug. I mean, he's skinny, and I call his first game the very first throw of the game. It was like the very first throw of the game was directly to a New Orleans Saint, to where you looked at it, in the booth. I'm looking at Chris Myers going, like, are you sure he's right-handed? Like like it's that bad a throw, right? Is he blindfolded? What happened there? No pressure, just here. Hey, here you go, New Orleans. And then he's coming off the sideline like, wow, I screwed that one up. At some point, he's got to be responsible for something.
Yeah. Finally, Jordan Love is making a very quick comeback from that sprained knee, so much so that there's some talk that he might be able to play this weekend against Tennessee. Would you play him?
No. No, because I don't want to irritate it and then all of a sudden have to put him on IR. They didn't put him on IR, which means they think they've got a chance to get him back, which is great. That's awesome. But, again, I would say for Jordan Love is let's calm down. Plus, you don't want to deny America the return of Malik to Tennessee.
Oh, what
right?
a storyline. What a storyline.
Oh, my gosh, right? I mean, that kid was he's a hard charger. Yeah. They got drafted there, and they just put him in a turnstile and whipped him back out the organization.
Coming back to make him pay. He's going to make him pay.
So you don't want to deny the comeback.
Yeah, the comeback
to Tennessee. So no, I just think that for Jordan Love, this is another game that's a winnable game, like they did last week, where they just ran the snot out of the ball. So I would say that I would err on the side of caution with the guy I just spent a couple $100 million on.
Ready for your moneymaker picks? You went 2-1 last week.
Yes, I did.
I went 1-2. So already that sneaky tie, that push that you got in week 1 is the difference. You are 3-2-1, and I am 3-3. So
yeah,
and you get to go first.
All right. Here's where I'm going right now. I think the Giants are a better football team than people give them credit for. And I know that everybody is down on Daniel Jones, down on the Giants, but I think sneaky Giants, 6.5-point underdogs, I think they cover that, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants find a way to get a win.
Wow.
Crazy, but they'll cover that. I'll take Giants in the 6.5. I think the Seahawks are a good football team. I think they go out and dominate. They're a 4.5-point favorite, so I'll take the Seahawks minus 4.5. And then the Raiders, I will also take the Raiders because you guys know I can't take my eyes off of Max Crosby, really good, Devontae Adams, really good, and Brock Bowers' ass. Like, those are the three things that I know for a fact. It's like these are the three things I know, that drunk people tell the truth. You can always count on the running game. And yoga pants don't lie. And I want to see Brock Bowers in yoga pants because I ain't going to lie. I'll tell you that right now.
I pray you get a Raider game this year. I pray you get a Raider game. Very quickly, I'm going to go with I got some kind of tough picks, but I got Baltimore going into Dallas. I got Baltimore -1. So I don't see Baltimore going 0-3. I just don't. I just can't see them going 0-3.
Like that.
So I'm going to take Baltimore -1 at Dallas. The Rams are so banged up. San Francisco coming off a loss. I think San Francisco gets healthy, and the Rams are probably looking at maybe just pull the plug, tank the season, start rebuilding. So I'm going to take San Francisco, big number on the road. I'm going to take San Francisco -7.5 over the Rams, and then I'm going to take Jacksonville. I don't know if they're going to win, but their season's kind of hanging in the balance as well. They're 0-2. They're going to Buffalo. I'm still not completely sold on the Bills. I'm going to take Jacksonville plus the 5.5.
All right, there you have it, right there. So that sounds like a 1-2 for you again, and a 3-0 for me.
Sure,
somewhere in there. So
well, I hope Greg Olson's on your plane. I really do.
That's what I was going to tell you. You said Greg Olson's sitting in first class as I wander back to seat 9E. Hi Greg, how you doing? Oh, here I go back to the back of the plane. What are you doing on this? I got the Arizona Detroit game. What are you doing? Oh, I just go to Arizona to see some friends of mine. Oh, you hot snot. You hot snot.
Well, have a great trip and have a great game because I'm happy for you. That's going to be a good game. And then you got to travel all the way back across the country, back to New York to do FS1 breakfast ball at 8 a.m. on Monday. So
I've got a red eye. So I land at like 5:40, roll right to studio.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
so my hair might be all disheveled.
You're going to be great for our radio show. 2 hours after that. That's going to be awesome. Awesome radio. Yeah. Awesome.
You will have punchy stink. That's for sure.
That's the best stink.
All right. I'll talk to you later, buddy. Have a great weekend, man.
You too.
All right. Bye.